the president has railed against mail-in voting. And I want to bring in someone who actually knows that it works, someone who has overseen elections that have been dominated by it. Colorado Secretary of State Jena Griswold. I'm so glad you're with us. You actually know best. Colorado, your state, relied on mail-in voting long before this pandemic happened. What is your response to the president's claims that there will be massive fraud if states rely on mail-in voting?
Well, good morning, Stephanie, and thank you for covering this issue. My response is that he's completely wrong. All states can look towards Colorado's election model. We get it right, and we have safeguards built in. So, for example, we do signature verification. A signature goes on the back of every mail ballot. We also have placements, rules in place about ballot collection. And to share with you, even the right-leaning conservative group, the Heritage Foundation, found that the rate of fraud in mail ballots is 0.00006. One of the benefits, though, Stephanie, is that Russia cannot hack a piece of paper, and that's what mail ballots are. And that's one of the reasons that Colorado is considered the safest state to cast a ballot in.
Is this a partisan issue in your state?
Absolutely not. The former Secretary of State, who was a Republican, implemented mail ballots. He did a fantastic job. And we have Republicans, Democrats, and independents using mail ballots. The Colorado election model is very straightforward. You register to vote. You cast your ballot either by returning it in the mail at one of our hundreds of drop boxes or in person. And to share with you, in our June 30th primary, in the midst of the pandemic, we set a record turnout and had a higher percentage of Republican voters choose to use their mail ballot.
Let's talk about those drop boxes, because just yesterday, the president questioned how secure they are. Can you explain to us exactly how your state ensures that those very boxes are secure and not tampered with? There's a good chance the president's watching. You could educate him here.
Well, always willing to educate the president. He can give me a call because he does not know what he's talking about when it comes to elections. So drop boxes, they're extremely heavy. They're bolted into the ground. We put lighting on them, and there's 24-hour cameras surveilling them. And we keep all that footage for 25 months. But I think the bigger issue is that the president first was railing against the U.S. Postal Service, trying to stop the use of mail ballots. Now he's focused on drop boxes, spreading lies about their use. And at the end of the day, the president is willing to cheat, to lie, to tilt the election in his favor. He's also willing to disenfranchise millions of Americans or force them to risk their very lives to cast a ballot.
Let's talk about the Postal Service and the delay in mail being delivered. You are one of the 12 states considering taking legal action against this administration because of the changes they've made to the USPS. Can you explain this?
Sure. The president came out and told us that he was trying to withhold funding from the U.S. Postal Service to stop mail ballots. And we know that mail ballots are the most responsible way to vote during a pandemic. So I just think that it's reprehensible. It is voter suppression to try to force Americans to choose to risk their lives or not vote. That is voter suppression. So you mentioned a while back that voter commission that the president set up in 2017. That's actually what inspired me to run for Secretary of State, because he was trying to disenfranchise millions of Americans and thousands of Coloradans. So I will not let the president suppress Americans without a big old fight. All options are on the table, including litigation.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.